There we go. So call the meeting to order, Capital Committee meeting, March 23rd at 2:01. Members in attendance are Richard Terrell, Ryan Quimby, Steve Lonergan, Jim Broderick, Connor O'Shea. So first things first, we're gonna get started with grouping our capital projects. We're gonna go through them pretty quick. I'll share my screen. I know we have a lot to get through. So unless anybody has any questions, we can go ahead and get started.
Ryan, do you know, was Ralph planning on making it?
I believed he was.
So worth texting him or?
I think we should, yeah, just because he asked Steve some questions already today.
Yeah.
I can try to do that.
Ryan, when we put them in groups, is it just a simple vote?
Simple vote, yep.
Do we do each item A, B, C, or D, or do we go through the whole list and do A first, B second?
We go down the list of projects and give it A, B, C, or D.
Okay.
Would it make sense, so we don't necessarily have to roll call vote like all 35 lines, to kind of come up with a consensus for each one, and at the end just kind of like vote on, yes, we all agree with the letters that we just assigned?
Yeah, it's all by consensus. We won't do roll call
Okay.
votes, an actual vote on each item. It's like you said, that would take quite a long time.
You're becoming quite the politician there, Connor.
So since I wasn't really able to make it to the site visits, I'm going to defer a little bit to, the observations that you all were able to make, but.
I did try texting Ralph and I didn't hear anything back from him yet either.
Likewise, I'll resend him an invite.
We could always, the one that I knew he had a question, I think was the landfill one. We could always just start down the list and skip that one in case he joins in a few minutes.
Yeah, and we'll be going through the projects pretty much twice anyway.
All right.
Give them till 2:05.
I mean, he sent that email a short time ago, did he not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he responded to it too.
Yeah.
Responded, so he may just be tied up for a minute or two.
While we're waiting, all the documents that I have printed for the capital planning committee, are those public documents I can just throw in the trash, or do I have to shred them?
they're public documents. You can just throw them in the trash,
Okay,
or I should say recycle them.
okay. Better word, I thank you.
With public works submissions, it's definitely got to recycle that. All right, it's 2:05. I'll share my screen. We'll get started, and if Ralph would like to revisit any projects, we can do so. Capital plan, share. All right, everybody sees the list.
Yes,
Yep, I can see it.
thank you.
So we'll start right at the top with the design costs for North Main Street tip Harkness to Dearborn. This is for $560,000, part of a larger $8 million project, with the balance of that project being funded by the state. Does anyone have a suggested group for this project?
I gave it an A.
I did too.
I did too.
I too.
Sounds like an A to me. Next up, Allen Street landfill closure. Do we want to skip this until Ralph comes and we can revisit it?
Let's vote on it anyway, then he can comment later.
Okay,
I gave it an A
I
myself.
gave it an A.
I did too.
Did as well.
I gave it a B, but I can live with A.
that's an A. DPW flatbed truck number 73 F800 for $95,300.
I
Gave
gave
it a
that one
B.
an
I gave it a B.
A.
Steve?
I can live with B.
I gave it a B too.
All right, B sounds good. And just as a reminder, this is in priority from the department.
No.
Next up is backhoe number 17 Volvo replaced with John Deere 410L for $179,550.
I give that one a B.
So did I.
So did I.
All right, no arguments on a B. Next up, Bobcat 109 replaced with John Deere compact track loader for $88,725.
I gave it an A because of our site visit. That made me a little nervous, that Bobcat. So I gave it an A because of the site visit.
Connor,
I gave it a B, but I can certainly live with A on that one as well.
Steve?
I gave it B, but I can live with that.
All right, we'll go with an A.
And I'll defer. I gave it a C, but I'll go with the group.
All
Where did we
right,
end up, Ryan?
with an A.
Okay,
1 ton dump truck number 67 replaced with Ford F550 dump body for $90,686.
I gave that one a B.
Me too.
Rich?
I was around the, I'll say B for consensus.
And Jim?
Yeah, that's okay with me.
So the next two projects, we also have an alternate funding. Bruce is applying for grant funding for these, of which the town would be responsible for $40,000 funding. So that is an option for the next two projects. If we decide not to fund them fully, we could partially fund them or not fund them. And then if Bruce is successful in getting the grant project, he would then have to go back to the town council for the balance of the funds.
So I had put both of these at C.
How was that C also?
all right.
I had put the town hall one at D and the police one at C, but I could go with
Steve?
either.
C's good with me.
C's. Oh, why is it doing that? Oh, goodness.
Has anybody heard from Ralph?
I get nothing back.
I
Me
hope he's
neither.
all right, because this is very uncharacteristic of him. He's on the money, you know?
It's true. Let's see, DPW new fire sprinkler system piping for $192,488.
I
D,
give that one a C.
Yeah, I gave it a C.
Yeah, I can live with C.
I'm with D, but consensus.
I had a D, but I assume you heard more about it when you were there.
All right,
That's the DPW, right?
now that's done with the Public Works General Fund, so we'll move on to the public schools. First project is replace the roof membrane on the freshman wing for $225,000.
I gave it an A because it's been on there for so long.
So
I did too.
I had A too.
I had B, but I can live with that.
all right. Next up is Meadowbrook add lights to Porter Road parking lot for $65,008.
I gave that one an A for safety.
I concur.
Steve?
Yeah, me too.
That's fine.
All right. Next up is Mountain View replace the gym floor for $71,663.
I gave that one an A.
Yeah, from the site visit, I felt like it should be an A. It sounds almost dangerous, that floor.
Yeah, I gave it A. Don't want any kid get hurt.
All right. I had a B, but I'll defer to the fact that you guys saw it.
All right.
Yeah, it's kind of nasty looking, Jim. It's old as hell.
Yeah, it's the same floor I played on, so. It's
Oh,
old.
it must be ancient then, huh?
Is that the same room that you climbed the ropes to?
It is. Next up is Maple Shade parking lot and playground paving with added drainage for 142,674.
I
I gave
gave it,
that one a B.
would you give it, Connor? I gave it a B also.
I gave it a B.
I gave it a C.
I'm on the fence. I would say a C, but it's kind of higher up in their priority. Mary,
Yeah,
what do you think?
I'm not opposed to a C on it either. So I think it's a very high C, low B.
Well, he had a group of Bs. I mean, I can live with a B if people prefer that, but
We'll go with a B. B minus C plus.
There you go.
All right, high school replaced skylights and domes for 22,345.
I gave that one a B.
Considering the dollar amount, I'd go with B as well. Rich,
I
all
had a C.
Good with B.
all right, I can live with that.
Yeah, me too.
right. Next up is Maple Shade replacement of flat roof sections from 964,810. Based off of the site visit, I would lean towards a D.
I had a C, but I could live with D if that the site visit kind of indicated that.
I had put B, so I would meet in the middle at C, but
I had
I'm a-
C.
I'm a C.
All right, we'll go with a C. Next up is Meadowbrook full renovation of parking lot for $1,905,000.
I had put a C for that one.
So I had a D for that. I'm still not sure I understand the amount of money for the number of parking spaces and the flow. It still doesn't compute to me, and I know maybe I missed some better explanation at the site visit.
I had C.
I had a pretty good explanation, Jim, but I would say C makes sense.
I was a D.
Oh, okay.
That was a D, but it looks like the C's have it. Skip the classroom furniture. Next is the Burson Park ballasted flat roof. Did Mary, you didn't get a chance to talk to Gordon at all about that, did you?
I'm sorry, I did not.
I know we were looking at MSBA funding for that. If we can get past the timeline the MSBA sets, I would say a D.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
would
I
put a
got.
D.
D.
All right. That finishes up with the school department, and we'll move on to the fire department. Engine 2 ladder replacement, 5-year lease, but I think, Steve, you're looking at the bond.
Yeah,
instead.
we have the bond and we're just finalizing that, but that'd be the source of funding. I mean, I think they
Dollar
need it.
amount doesn't really change.
Yeah,
So that was an A for me.
A
I
for
have an
me.
A.
A for me as well.
All right, Ayes have it. Car 1 replacement for 59,770.
I had a B.
I
I
had
had
a
a
B as
B.
well.
I had C.
I had a C as well. Seems like the Bs have it. Public safety complex feasibility study.
I had it as a C.
I had it as a D.
I had it as a D in favor of the new committee to explore all the options first.
Yeah, that
I
was
had
kind of my
I had
reason.
an A, but I can live with anything else. I'm a loner there.
Yeah,
I'm okay with the D with the understanding that with the explanation that Connor just made.
Yeah,
me too.
What did you say, Connor?
I said D so that we wouldn't fund it until we kind of explore the options with the committee first.
Oh, okay,
pull in all the town space needs and then do a study
okay.
thing. All right,
That's
that moves us on to the police department.
Oh, sorry, did you give that a D?
D, yes, I'll send out this document too when
No, it's okay.
moving on to the police department. This is not so much in their priority list because it was one submission.
So I would go A with the 2 marked cruisers.
I would second it.
I did that as
Great.
well.
Yeah, I'm good.
Unmarked cruiser for
I was kind of
35,000.
I was kind of a B, and you could twist my arm to a C for the unmarked cruiser, but
Kind of twist it to an A?
I
Definitely
had
a
a B,
two.
but I could go with A as well.
Yeah,
I was B leaning towards C with Jim, so.
or maybe a B.
All right, so looks like that makes sense.
I'm hearing B.
Yeah,
Next up is the pickup truck for 57,618.
I've as a D.
had it,
Yeah,
had it, yeah.
I had a C, so yeah, I could live with either.
Yeah, I had a C, but I could go with C or D.
All right, so I'm hearing like a D plus, C minus type of thing, so we'll
Yeah.
go
Sure.
with a high D, a low C, we can always change it. Then
Yeah,
the,
that was my first grade in freshman English, my first essay, D plus.
all right, contingency, that's something once we prioritize, we'll kind of split it up in there.
Right.
IT, first up is one-to-one device replacements for $125,000.
I had an A.
I had an A as well.
Yeah,
Me too.
Days. Next up is the student information system replacement for $129,150.
I had a B.
I had an A.
I had an A, but I could live with the B.
right. Either one of those is fine with me.
I'm not voting on it, so we got 2 A's and 2 B's, so it's up to Mary.
B,
It's a B. Town and school switch replacement, from the follow-up from our meeting last week. We have $107,000 in E-rate eligibility that would come off the top of that amount.
I had B, but
Yeah, I had B as well.
B.
Yeah, B.
Sounds like B's. Next up is the fuel system management replacement for $40,000.
I had a B there too, based on the conversation you had about the problems we have with the current system, but
I had an A, only that if it breaks, I don't want us to not be able to pump fuel.
that is a problem.
We'll be able to pump fuel, we just won't be able to track it or record it.
Oh, well, then in that case, I could go with A or B.
Well, the accountant in me now with that remark says A.
That just bumped it to an A for you, Steve, is that it?
The state will be calling me, yeah.
Rich,
I had it as A.
I had an A or a B.
all right, sounds like A's. Next up is the building automation upgrades for $105,000, $105,010.
So I had it as a C.
I had a high C, low B.
I had a C for that one too.
I had a C also.
All right, sounds like C's. Next up is the Recreation Department Heritage Park Design, Engineering, Permitting, and Bid Documents for $495,075.
I had, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jim.
I had it as a C.
I'm gonna go the other way. I had a.
I had A too.
Connor?
I had B, meeting in the middle.
I mean, I guess my thinking here is that if possible, and I guess my if possible is really, can this initial amount be funded through the Community Preservation Committee or the fund? That's all I was thinking in that regard.
And I believe it can, right, Steve? Or Mary?
Yeah, they have funds and we're working with them on that. And then in conjunction with other funding, we should be able to free it up.
All right, then I could live with a higher rating if the committee's more comfortable higher.
So we can mark it as an A with the stipulation that it's funded through CPA.
Or maybe just generalize it, Ryan, possible other funding.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to limit it to CPC because there's park grants and there's free cash and there's ARPA money. So there's a lot of possibilities to pay for that.
Yeah, I can live with A for that, given the funding possibilities.
Ryan, a quick question before we move to the next part.
Yep.
On this list here, is there anything on this list that has already been contracted? In other words, that if we don't approve it, the department's gonna have to find alternative sources.
I think the only thing that is in progress would be the ambulance.
Okay.
Hi, Ralph.
Sorry, I'm late, everyone.
Yeah, we're
Hi,
gonna worry
Ralph.
about you, Ralph. It's unlike you.
We're
I
all
know.
done.
That's perfect. I love it. Motion
Rich,
to
Rich, to
adjourn.
answer your question, we don't have the authority to contract for these issues until
Okay,
they're approved. So the short answer would be no. Like
okay.
Ryan said, Allen Street's got some past monies there, and this is an addition to that former request. And certainly the ambulance is year 2 or 3 of whatever the lease term was there. But
Okay.
everything else has not been authorized yet.
Okay, thank you very much, Mary.
So now,
Why don't we give Ralph a minute just to look at our categories and see if there's anything he wants to adjust or debate. Ralph, is that okay with you?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Like I said, I'm catching up pretty quick. It looks like a lot of A's and B's and a couple C's.
let me
I'm
know
used to
if,
C's and D's when I was in school.
let me know if you need me to scroll.
Yeah, that was the problem. I was trying to scroll down and I couldn't. So it looks like the roof, we're basically saying we can hold off.
For Birchland,
Yeah, that was the one we were looking to wait anyways to submit it to MSBA, right?
yeah, but they keep pushing the goalpost back.
Yeah, they went from 20 to 25 years, if I'm correct.
But I think it's at like 23 years right now, the group
Yeah.
itself, right?
Yeah,
2 more years, yeah.
So Ryan, the building automation upgrades.
Yep.
You don't feel that we need those as quickly or?
I mean, I do, I try not to add comments or vote on my submitted projects.
Yep.
You know, it's tough when all the projects are top priority, you know?
Exactly. I mean, let's face it, the town needs a lot of
Hmm.
capital infrastructure and capital improvements, but there's only so much funding to go around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
I have 2 questions. If we don't vote in the TIP project, Harkness to Dearborn, do we lose that $8 million from the state this year? Do we lose it completely?
We don't necessarily lose it, but we get kicked back in the queue for projects. So it may be deferred for 2 or 3 or 4 years. Right now, we're in for 2026.
Thank you, Mary. And secondly, the Ryan, the SIS replacement, if we don't fund that, what does the schools do with that?
If we don't fund that project, what would happen is we would miss our chance to switch products because we would have to renew with the existing company, or we would have to try and squeeze the replacement into a summer instead of over the span of a year.
Right, is the renewal an automatic 3-year or is it an option for 1 year?
They really only do 3 years because they really want to lock you in.
Okay.
The schools are not happy with their present provider?
So this actually came about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. We met with, we weren't happy. We were looking to switch. We met with the vendor, gave them the shortcomings we see, got promised up and down that it's going to change. We were supposed to be on a new version in 2019. And we obviously are not. It's now 2022, and we still haven't even had a demo of the new product. So it's kind of, it's time.
So all we're doing right now is categorizing the need for stuff, not as far as where the money's coming from or anything like that.
Yeah, there'll be a little discussion about like Heritage Park where we gave it an A with the understanding that it wouldn't be general funded. But short of that, we'll go through and prioritize within the groups next. And then if there's certain projects that we want to recommend be bonded or be funded from alternate sources, we can make a note of that.
Okay.
So Ralph, if you're good with the capital groups, if you want to revisit any of them, or we can move on to prioritizing.
No, I think I'm pretty good with what you have here.
All right, we'll move on to step 2.
I did some quick math too. So far the A's, we have 2,071,321.
Correct.
Say that again, Ryan, Connor, I'm sorry.
It was 2,071,321.
What does the town usually fund for capital projects?
It's usually been one,
You muted.
Mary,
me.
unmute yourself.
sorry, usually 1.5% to 2% of the operating budget. I did talk to Mike this morning very briefly. I advised him that there are 2 very large ticket items here that are $1 million, that being the TIF project and the Heritage Park. So he was not in a position to opine at that moment as to where he wanted to go or where he thought the council would go. But I advised him that there's probably going to be a need from our point of view for more spending, which then results in the discussion about the other funding sources. So there's a lot of balls in the air right at the moment, but I didn't get a percentage answer from Mike. He knows we generally, last year, I think it was $1.2 million, and maybe the year before, it might have been $1.2 million or $3 million. So, but we're falling behind at that level. I will say that.
In that
But
number.
with the A's alone being over 2 million, that tells you something.
That's inclusive of Heritage Park.
Yeah, I think it is, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like 1,576 without Heritage.
And the design cost, that's 560, even though there's funding, state funding for a lot more than that, that all would have to be spent in the next fiscal year.
You know, I don't know if it has to be spent in the next fiscal year. It has to be committed to by the town council before they will process the balance of the $8 million funding for the balance of that grant. That's just the engineering aspect of things.
It might be worth either having Bruce or whatever just double check, because committing that might kind of cause us to kind of encumber future years capital, but it wouldn't necessarily, if it was less than 560 for the coming fiscal year, then it might make a difference in terms of our commitment for the coming fiscal year.
You know, he gave me a series of documents this morning at my request. I didn't have a chance to read them yet, but one of them is the letter from the DOT announcing the award, and it's like 8 pages. So I'm sure it discusses those provisions. I'm sorry, I just haven't had an opportunity to read through it. I think it was included in his general package, though, in his submission. So you may already have this somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll try to get through it later today and forward it to you if I can do that. And maybe he knows right off the top of his head, so we could just ask.
All right, so let's see, we have 10 general fund projects in the A category. Do we have a nomination for spot number 1?
I would nominate engine number 2 replacement.
Do we have any arguments in support or against engine number 2 being our A1 recommendation? Ralph?
Engine. I would actually disagree with that after speaking with the chief. I mean, we've got the new ladder truck, we've got the second truck. So yes, we need this. I wouldn't put it number 1. That's just my thought.
What do
How
you,
about How about the 2 marked cruisers, Ralph?
I think the 2 marked cruisers, absolutely. I mean, that just goes without saying, we need to replace those every year.
I
Be fine
put
with
I
those to
put
be
the
number
tip
one.
project first myself. The tip project.
All right, so we got the cruisers. Connor, what were you saying?
I could go with either the cruisers or the tip project being number one. I think both are a good investment.
Rich, are you good if we go with cruisers as number 1 and then we'll look at the tip project for number 2?
Right? That makes consensus. I like it.
All right. How's everyone feeling about the tip project being number 2? With the idea we could bond that, right, Steve?
Yeah, think about that. And but my good thing is the Allen Street too, though, because aren't we under the gun with the DEP on that one? I mean, that one we kind of kicked down the road for a few years, and I think we need to start doing something with that. Could be 3. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that was my number 1, but we could certainly, but to answer your question, yes, we could bond for the tip.
So if we look at the tip project as number 2 with bonding in Allen Street for number 3. What's
Yeah.
the,
I think that's good. I think
I
it's
can live
something we
with
have to
that.
take action
Yeah.
on.
Ralph?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just looking at all the A's, and if you take out Heritage Park, chances are all the A's, especially if we're gonna bond for the tip, more than likely gonna get done, so it doesn't really make a difference where they go. Just my thought process on it. I don't think there's ever been a year that we haven't taken at least all the A projects and
Yeah.
agreed to do them, so.
Yeah, typically, I mean, we don't usually have this many A's. And in the past, we haven't even really gone and prioritized the A's because that's kind of,
Right.
our minimum. This is where we start. But with this number, I think it makes sense to keep them all in order. So next up is number 4 for priority.
I went to the 1-to-1 device replacements for number 4.
Any support or discussion on that?
No, I guess really we don't have much choice in that matter, right? We got to keep doing it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right. Priority 5 in the A's.
I was thinking the high school roof.
I was thinking the same way.
That makes sense to me. Any other discussion for or against the high school roof being A5? All right. Number 6, next up.
I was gonna go down the list into the adding lights to
I have the
Porter Road.
Bobcat as number 6.
Well, if we've skipped over the engine 2 replacement, I would probably put that in as 6.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Good point, Ralph.
All right. Any other discussion or argument for or against engine 2 being number 6? All right. Number 7.
Can I push my Bobcat again?
I'd put the Bobcat at the end personally, but
Would you really? Didn't they say
Well-
that they can't even control the damn thing, Ralph, coming to site visit? That it takes off on them when
except
they're
that we-
driving it?
we actually have another Bobcat. We have 2 backhoes there and we have 3 larger loaders. Not to mention a mini excavator, so.
Well, I'll take your expertise. I'll, okay.
All right,
I'll
so
back
Not that I'm
off.
saying they don't need it. I'm just saying in this
Lower.
group,
Yeah,
So what are we looking at for number 7 in the A's?
I was thinking the lights at Porter Road.
Ryan, how critical is the fuel system management? I mean, is that costing us money or possibly costing us money?
The company that supports it is no longer in business. We cannot get parts for it. So we had it linked to our ID cards. So you use a fob for a vehicle and use your ID card to associate it with a person. We can no longer associate it with our ID card, so we have to give people PIN codes. If we have a critical failure, then we would have to switch the pumps to on, basically, where there wouldn't be any accounting for it. So important.
So it seems like cheap money for something that we need to do. I mean, I would, you could twist my arm to call it number 7.
I would agree.
Okay,
Sure.
I can
Oh, yeah.
live with it. So 7,
All right, that'll be 7. So next up, number 8, the lights.
I like
on
the lights.
Porter Road.
Yep.
Sure.
Then I'd say we'll do gym floor and then Bobcat,
Yep.
with the understanding that Heritage Park is a separate funding source, so that's kind of why we're not categorizing it in that group.
But
Correct.
should we include it in the group of A though?
Well, we'll leave it in the group of A without a number priority because it's a different funding source.
Okay,
All right. On to the Bs, and our dollar amount is $1,016,638. Do we have an argument for a B1?
I'm gonna go with the SIS replacement.
Do we have a discussion argument for or against SIS replacement being our B1?
I can live with that.
I can go with that.
Yep.
All right. B2?
You could twist my arm for the town school switch replacement.
Ralph, just for your information, the 261 would actually be minus 107,000. We have 107,000 federal grant funding I got that would
Right.
offset that.
So remind me again exactly what the switch replacements are.
So the switches that are covered in this replacement are to replace the actual network closet switches that power and do all our communication for all of our wireless access points, our cameras, our door controllers, clocks,
Yep.
pretty much everything that run off of that now. Lights, we actually have lights that run off our network now.
Yeah, that's all I could come up with was like a light switch. I'm like, a lot of money for light switches.
Yeah.
I could go with
can
number
go
2,
that as a
given,
second.
yeah, given the 107 that you're getting for it. I think that's a good deal.
I like it as a number 2.
All right. Any other discussion for or against? All right. Number 3.
I like that flatbed truck, but I'll defer to Ralph. The flatbed truck, I like that.
Number 73, truck 73 replaces a Ford F-550. Any other
So is
discussion
that-
for?
Is that the flatbed number 73 that was out of service for a while?
I believe so.
I remember being
Oh.
cracked on the front, Ralph, in the hood area, like.
Yeah, I think that's the one though that they haven't used for a few years, isn't it? And they need a replacement. I mean, I was thinking the 1-ton, the 550 replaced with a 550 dump. Number 67.
Yeah, that is a lower priority submitted from Public Works.
Was it?
Yeah.
I'm
Which
fine to
we-
go with,
It's
Numbers.
oh, go ahead, Donner, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I'm fine to go with number 73 since that was their higher priority one.
Yeah, I think we got our money out of this. Back when I first got on Capital, we gave them money to refurbish these things, and get more
Refurbish
life
it,
out of
yeah.
them. I think we bled every
I'm
single
I'm
dollar.
okay with that.
All right, number 4 in Bs,
I would go with the unmarked cruiser.
I'd say probably the skylights, I would say for the next up,
Skylight.
kind of because it's also the dollar amount's kind of a little bit low hanging fruit there.
Could we go
Jim?
4, 5?
Was that Rich?
Could we go 4 with the skylights and 5 with the unmarked cruiser?
Mm.
How does everybody feel about that?
I know I'm jumping a little bit ahead there.
Yeah, that
I'm
works for me.
Jim?
Well, the car 1 replacement was number 2 for the fire department. Is that, I mean, the unmarked cruiser was a kind of an additional thing, correct?
Yes.
The car 1 replacement, is that something that needs to be done as a matter of of course it's time for that car to be replaced? If so, I would probably go with that before the unmarked cruiser, but
So it is their second priority, but it's also 2 out of 2. It's the first time, actually, it's the first time we're seeing the unmarked cruiser as well.
We don't have anybody to drive that unmarked cruiser yet on the town's payroll, and we probably won't for several more months. Due to the supply chain, you might want to consider ordering it, but it was intended for the lieutenant, who so far is a unnamed person. And on the fire car, I personally think we can get another year out of that, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, if I was here earlier, I would probably look to put both of those into the C category. But just
So-
saying,
what you're saying is we should put.
but I was late.
things above it for
We still
priority.
can.
That's
Well,
true.
for clarification, should we go back to the skylights and make that number 4 and then discuss the other 2?
Sure, I'm
So,
fine
okay
with
with
this.
Fine.
I'm fine with the skylights being 4.
All right. So if we look up for B, we have the backhoes, the backhoe, the 1-ton dump truck with the F-550 dump body, and Maple Shade parking lot and playground paving with added drainage.
I would do the 1-ton dump truck next.
Good with that. Any other?
What number is that now?
That'll be number 5.
So Ralph, just out of curiosity, Bruce's priorities had the backhoe ahead of the dump truck.
So to me, when I looked at it, the pins and stuff in the backhoe could be replaced if needed to be, and you could still get another year or so out of it if it had to go that far. The dump trucks they're really starting to rot. That was my thought process on it. And I like replacing the vehicles because even if we order it, chances are you're not going to see it this year.
Right. Okay.
And one of the other thoughts I had too, for making that a 5 over the backhoe is kind of the dollar amount. Trying to get some of the lower dollar items higher up on the list that have a better potential to get funding.
Okay. All right. I can live with that.
So the 1-ton dump truck is number 5?
Yes. Number 6 is down to the backhoe and Maple Shade parking lot paving with added drainage.
Probably go with the backhoe then being number 6.
That works for me.
Yep.
Good for me. Any other discussion for backhoe being number 6 for or against? Rich?
I'm okay.
All right.
So Ryan, I have a question on the Maple Shade, the parking and paving.
Sure.
They had talked about drainage up on the hill. I'm just curious if there's some way we can do that drainage before the parking lot's done to see if it actually works. Because if it doesn't, then they're gonna have to put new drains in the parking lot. So I wasn't sure if there's a way they could split that out or if they'd even wanna.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know after the project was submitted, they had talked about some different MS4 regulations that would need to be
Right.
adhered to. As far as what they would do first, you've been around construction sites longer than I have. They would probably do the grading before the drainage. I don't think they were actually looking at doing like a drain. I think they wanted to do the swale.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And you could probably do that up on the hill to see if it works on this
Right.
parking lot before. I'd hate to go and spend all the money and then find out the drainage, the swale and all didn't work.
Right,
I
yeah.
think part of it too with the paving wasn't just the main parking lot there, but it was also on the other side of the building near the playground
Right.
side too. So I think that would have to be done regardless.
Yeah, from where they cut it all out for the steam piping. So we have 3 projects left and we were at number 7.
Yeah, I'd put that as 7.
Me too.
All right.
That's okay with me.
Same here.
Now number 8, we're down to fire department car 1 or the unmarked cruiser.
So is there an argument for C versus B, Ralph? Is that what you were going at? Or?
That's exactly what I was going for. The unmarked cruiser was basically for a lieutenant that we don't have and we don't know if we're getting. And the car one replacement, I think we can easily get another season, another year out of it. The mileage wasn't that high. I know he had talked about if he got one to offer the vehicle to another service in the department or whatever, but I didn't think either of those were that critical.
You just help me. Did I hear that the unmarked cruiser would also be used by the detective force? Or am I missing something?
I think that was part of the discussion about the aging fleet in general.
Okay.
How the detective still drives the old Crown Vic where the gas tank just falls off of it,
Oh, Jesus.
which is an important part of the car.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
But I do think as we're updating the cruisers, I mean, there's what, 2 or 3 that are still on order coming in, which is going to bring 3 out and then adding 2 more. So hopefully within a year, we'll have a total of 5 newer vehicles.
Yeah, get caught up.
Exactly. And the ones that those are replacing, we'll hopefully be able to use to fill in where we need to. I
Okay.
mean, I
Based
saw, I think it was last year's paperwork that was sent to me. I was counting the number of vehicles listed for the police department, and it shows they have 17 vehicles. Does that sound correct?
No, I'd have to look. It was in his submission.
Sounds like it's something that needs to be updated. I don't think they have 17.
Yeah, I don't think they're all being used. Like I said, maybe some of them were replacements and they need to go or something. I don't know, but it sounded like a lot. So,
And that includes the drug task force cars as well.
yes.
Well, based on Ralph and Mary's comments, I could live with reclassifying those 2 items to C.
Rich, Connor?
I would be okay with making car one replacement for fire a C, but I'd still like to keep the unmarked cruiser as a B. I mean, I know the lieutenant position's a question in limbo, but if that does come through before the end of the next fiscal year we're working on, I'd hate for the department to have to scramble to try to figure something out.
Rich, thoughts?
I keep them at B because when we talked about it, a lot of people said C plus, B minus. So I'd keep them at the very low, in the low range in B. That's just my thought.
All right, so let's pick them off one at a time. Car one replacement. Ralph is looking for a C. Connor, you were a C for that, right?
I can go with C for that.
Jim, you were also a C?
Yep.
Rich, you want to keep it at B?
Yeah.
I'll go with the C, Ryan.
Oh, sorry, Steve.
Oh,
You're not on
there you
my
go.
window, so I lost you.
Wow,
Very
that
good
just hurt.
spot.
That just hurt, man.
I'm wondering, I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
So you were a C
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah, I'd make that C.
Okay. Unmarked cruiser, kind of split in the field. Steve, I'm gonna start with you this time. What after you took a C?
I actually tend towards a C, a high C, but a C nonetheless.
Ralph, you were a C?
Please.
Connor, was it B?
I was a B.
Jim,
And C.
is it C? Rich, is it
B.
B? All right, and I'm gonna say a B. So I think the B's have it, right? So where you
Yeah.
to?
Close enough.
Close enough. So that makes that, well, like it matters, it's B8.
Do we have to give a rank to the Ballast, the Birchland Park as a B? Do we have to say anything about that? The Birchland Park? Oh, we gave that a B.
Oh, the roof?
Yes, the
Was it
Birchland
D?
Park. Huh?
That was a D.
Hey, thank you. Apologize. Can't read my own handwriting.
You should see how I write. All right, on to the Cs. Any recommendations for a C1?
So Ryan, is the town hall trailer, the generator and stuff, is that still a possibility? Last year, we had said that we may be getting a grant to fund that, and I think it was through the was it MMA or something, or Mass?
Bruce just told me the grant program, and I forgot. I don't know if you have.
It was MEMA.
Thank you.
Lima,
Me-
and
I
we
was
did not
close.
get it, and now he's resubmitted.
Yeah.
So there's still a possibility, and he's working with representatives from that agency, but I don't know, I'm not optimistic about it.
That's too bad.
And if the grant was successful, it would be, the town's portion would be about $20,000.
Right.
With that,
Part of me says to go with the lower amount in the Cs because they're probably not going to get funded. And if they do, they're going to probably pick off the first one or two. So I make it more attractive fiscally to go with the lower amounts for the Cs. Just a thought.
And Ryan, the police generators tied in with the grants too, right? Those.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Bruce is submitting a grant to cover both generators, of which the town portion would be approximately $40,000.
I mean, I'm very much in favor of that. And, I think in the course of things, the town would be very well served to have the trailer mount generator in the event that things go bluey. So, I mean, I could see rating them higher. I don't know. Unless we do the grants or whatnot, it's hard to believe that we would fund 100% from the town. But I think they're kind of key items that would be very good for the town's infrastructure.
So I'm gonna make a recommendation that we go with a full funding of the police generator and then a partial funding contingent on the grant for the town hall generator
Hmm.
as 1 and 2.
So if we do either a safety complex or we look to a new police station or an addition, when we do that, are we going to include a generator in with the cost of doing the building and all?
I would imagine.
I would think a trailer mounted generator makes more sense where you can move it wherever it's needed at the moment and hope that with the police generator, we do the building addition or something that's all included or the grant comes in.
My thought is the police generator is probably the least reliable generator we have and probably the most critical building that we have. Other than the server room, obviously.
I don't know. What are we looking at, Ralph? With if we ever got into a new police or safety complex, we're probably 5 or 6 years out, right?
I'd say probably 7.
7 or
Minimum,
even more.
minimum.
Yeah,
That's short money for that item if,
right. I think probably we get a.
So-
It wouldn't. I think it's a legitimate question. I'm not sure, given the timing, the realistic timing of when we'd have the project going. That we probably would have gotten our money's worth.
I
So
would
once
be-
again, I'm going to jump back to, we're in Cs.
I was just gonna say that
With all the funding,
we're
I
in
don't-
$3 million here.
I'm going to agree 100%.
Are you saying we're just splitting hairs?
There's only so much money to go around and
Yeah.
I think we took up most of it in A and B, so.
So police new generator, 60K fully fund number 1. Everybody good with that?
Sure.
Good with that.
Partial fund number 2, or do I just say go for the full funding or skip it?
I'm still torn that I feel like of the rest of the Cs, I don't think that's number 2 to me.
Okay.
What do you think, it kind of?
I'd either go between car 1 building automation or the flat roof section. I guess it depends on whether we want to put a more expensive one first or whether we want to put low hanging fruit first.
Steve, what you thinking?
Are we really gonna use anything from this group in the thing? So I'm kind of with Counselor Page on this. If I was doing it though, the roof is a lot more and the car is on the low hanging fruit, but it's not, we get another year out of the car anyways. And if we do fund the car this year, we're not getting it to the end of next year and either way. So it's kind of tying up money. I guess you need to, but and I'm thinking more along the lines, maybe the automations for 2.
I could live with automation for 2.
So I think that has more value.
I had automation for 2 also.
That works for me.
Seems like the consensus. So number 3, we're down at generator, sprinkler piping. We can also, if somebody wants to nominate a number 7, we can work backwards. Throw another option at you.
7, I think, is the parking lot.
Yeah, I
I
would
would agree.
have to agree.
Any arguments for or against making Meadowbrook parking lot renovation priority 7 in the C group? Hearing none, that's our 7. So we have number 3 or number 6.
I'm sorry, what was number 1 again? The police new generator, right?
Correct.
And then the town hall generator is 2?
Nope, that one has not been prioritized yet.
What was number 2 then?
Number 2 is the building automation upgrades.
I had that as 3. I'm confused.
Because I think you probably wrote 2 for the town hall generator, because we kind of Connor vetoed that at the last second there.
Okay.
So I could live with the trailer mount generator, or I'm not that familiar with the fire sprinkler system piping.
The feeling I got from the fire department was that was not as big of a priority. And they're the ones that get woken up by this, and it's number 9 from Public Works as well.
So you want to make that number 6 for this priority?
Any other discussion or arguments for or against that being number 6?
I like Jim's thinking.
I can go with 6.
All right. So we got number 5 or number 3.
I'd probably then go with the roof replacement as number 3, and then I could go with the generator as number 4.
With car 1 being number 5.
Yeah,
What does
I agree.
everyone think of that?
I could live with that.
I
I
can
can
live
live
with
with it.
that.
I would switch 3 and 4, but I can live with it the way you have it.
I can't too. Just repeat it again, please. So 3 would be what?
The
the
maple
roof,
shade roof.
Okay.
4 would be the town hall generator, and then 5 would be car 1 replacement. For the town hall generator, we're just gonna go fully funded for the pure fact that we're like $4 million deep. Is that what you're thinking, Connor?
probably, yeah. But I'm open
No, I
to
would agree.
either.
I'd like to see 3 and 4 flopped, switched, but
Yeah, you know, as I was looking at him, Connor, I'm
Yeah.
almost thinking the same thing as Ralph just suggested. And particularly since the flat roof section is almost $1 million. Whether you could live with the town hall generator as 3, and then the replacement as the flat roof is 4.
All right.
we'll just buy a couple gallons of Flex Seal.
All right. So that gives us our priority list. I'll get this cleaned up and sent out to everyone.
What about D? Do we do D or just leave it alone?
We typically don't, just because it's,
Yeah, absolutely. Forget
something,
about it.
If we get to funding D, it's a good year.
Yeah,
We get the B, it's a good year.
yeah, this year,
Yeah.
definitely. All right.
So are we getting any town funds in from the state, either through the American Rescue Plan or whatever, that are not our normal stuff that would give us funds for capital items that we would normally have available to us?
We're expecting 2.4 million this calendar year before June. And the new revised final rule from the Treasury is that money up to 10 million can be put into your general fund for use in whatever fashion we wish. So yeah, there's big sum of money. The first infusion of the 2.4 that we got last year was all gobbled up by DPW with several water main projects that were overdue. But this infusion of cash will be sort of free money.
So Mary, sorry, I didn't mean to, but when you say the 2.4, some portion of that already been allocated and used so that the amount available this year is less than 2.4?
No, the town was awarded 4.75.
Okay,
So it
okay,
was
I
half
see.
in one year and half in the next. So
Gotcha.
2.4 is what we have
Okay,
to in the future expectation.
all right.
And Jim, I think last year we got in April, May range. If I,
Yeah,
and
too
somebody's-
late for us to, yeah. Right. Well, it's nice to hear that they've given the town that much flexibility with how to use it.
So then would that mean that if we didn't necessarily make it too far down the Bs or Cs in capital for the upcoming year, if those funds do come in, we could then in the middle of the year kind of just go down the list with whatever the remaining priorities were? Or
Yes,
unless something else
short
came
answer
up?
is yes. I mean, it's something that we need to discuss in obviously greater detail. But that money is available. The park grant applications have been opened, so that frees up some opportunity for Heritage Park, and CPC is there. And we have free cash, which we may or may not want to invade for some of these smaller projects just to accomplish something without leaving us in a poor fiscal posture. So there's a lot of resources there. And then there's always bonding, of course. And, there's just, as I said earlier, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of opportunity. So ordinarily, we'd maybe limit ourselves to $1.5 million, but I personally don't want to do that this year in light of what I was just describing about these other funding options.
So without the parking lot, that puts us just under 4 million. All the way down A's, B's, and C's.
Yeah, I mean, I was just kind of going down the list too, that minus the parking lot and even Heritage Park, if there were some of those other fundings, at least for part of it, we probably then could get through most of A, B, and C, because it would be maybe
And
just
you-
about 5 million, if not a little less.
And Ryan, you said that the A's alone were 1.16 million.
The A's alone without the Heritage Park project is 1.576 million.
1.576
1576246.
without Heritage Park.
That's without, yeah, because that would be a separate funding source.
So Steve, last year we did like 1.2 million out of the general fund, and then didn't we do bonding for like another 3 million on capital projects?
I don't know. We did some bonding for sewer, for the enterprise sewer and water, and
We did the school. Didn't we
Yeah,
do?
we had to make up for, because we did a roof prior that we hadn't bonded for. So part of it was, and 1.2 was for the high school feasibility study too. That we did a total borrowing of 4 million this year,
Okay.
4 and change. And part of that was to make up for some past projects that we didn't get out to bond because of the pandemic.
Right.
And then the feasibility study was another piece of it.
So Ryan, can you tell me the A's and B's, what the total is?
The A group without Heritage Park is 1,576,246. 246. I don't know if you got that last part.
Yep.
And then the B's is 956,868. Can't talk today for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, what did we take out of B? The fire car and move it down to C?
Yeah.
Yes. Car one replacement was moved out.
And then this.
I'm sorry, what was moved out? The fire one car?
Yeah, fire car one replacement.
Okay, thanks.
So the C's without the roof, I'm sorry, without the parking lot is 1,463,888. We've got to do some of this contingency. What are we gonna do with that contingency?
I would have given it a D myself.
Well, it's gotta be paired with the cars.
Oh,
Yeah, but I think,
Was he using a 10% contingency? Of course, all of these ones that are purchasing vehicles probably have to have something. Either they've already built it into the number.
They,
Or-
so in the police chief's submission, he gave us one submission with the 3 vehicle categories in it. And then an additional $10,000 contingency. So when I
Mhm.
broke it apart, I broke the contingency out as a separate $10,000 line item.
Yeah,
So I think we need, whether we just take the 10,000 and put it right on the 2 marked cruisers, which probably is what we should do. Or we split it up between that and where's the next one? Is the unmarked cruisers at the end of
It'd
the
be
D.
unmarked. Right, I'd put it on the 2 marked one because that's an A right now, and I think frankly 10 grand may be too little anyway. So
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all.
I'd lump it on the 2, and then
I would agree with that.
yeah, that works.
I'll add that there and we're gonna zero this guy out. Straight through. Comment. So I'm gonna read through our list, top to bottom. This is the actual full prioritized list. And if we want to discuss anything further or shift anything around, we can do so. Just let me know. Our A1 is 2 marked cruisers for the police department for $121,320 now. Anyone have anything to say about that? Hearing none. Next up is our A2, which is the tip project for Dearborn and Harkness for $560,000. Hearing nothing, we'll go with that. Next up is the Allen Street landfill closure for $147,265. It's A3. Hearing nothing on that. Next up is one-to-one device replacements is categorized as an A4 for $125,000. No further discussion on that. Next up, A5 for $225,000 is the high school roof membrane replacement over the freshman wing. No discussion on that. A6 engine 2 replacement, 5-year lease or bond with 25% to be funded from the ambulance fund, year 1 of 5 for $142,265. No discussion on that. A7 fuel management system upgrades for $40,000. No discussion on that. A8 Meadowbrook add lights to Porter Road parking lot for $65,008. No discussion on that. A9 Mountain View replace gym floor $71,663. No discussion on that. A10 Bobcat number 109 replaced with a John Deere compact track loader $88,725. No discussion on that. B1 student information system replacement $129,150. No discussion on that. B2 town and school switch replacement $261,826. No discussion on that. B3 flatbed truck number 73.
So
Ralph?
Ryan, just a quick one, that 261, that's actually not what we're borrowing because you're taking 107,000 off, correct?
Yep. Yeah, so we can reduce that by 107.
It just saved us 107,000.
So related to that question with the Bond Street or the item, the design cost North Main Street, it says it's gonna be bonded. So would that be the projected annual, would we be using the projected annual debt service versus the full amount?
So we've gone back and forth on this between the years, whether we use just the one-time annual debt service or include the whole amount. Mary, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not certain that bonding's the only option there. So I think it requires a little further research to determine what the annual cost would be on a bond, as we've done in the past. Because I think we take the interest amount from the general operating budget, and then I think we had it split last time when we talked about the school feasibility study and a couple of other projects that were being bonded. I'm not certain that we even want to consider bonding that particular item, but it's something that we should get the data for and then determine if the annual interest will be out of operating and the balance in capital, or however you want to. I think we just need to flesh that out.
Remove the note.
Yeah, the bonding was just, when you say, you can bond for it. It wasn't that we should.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. I guess you could put that
Yeah,
you could put that for a lot of things.
Right.
I mean, I'm of the philosophy that why pay interest if we've got money in our hand for some of these things. But
Is everyone okay removing the bonded note?
Yes, although do we need a note that just says need more info? Because it sounded like there was a little bit of question whether the 560 would be paid in 1 year or over several years.
yeah, I'll look at those documents that I said I got from Bruce today and certainly talk to him about that too, to get an answer for you, Jim.
Yep.
Remove the bonded note and added the comment for the payment side of things. Where did we leave off?
The E-rate, the switch replacement.
Yep, so I updated the number to reflect the E-rate grant reimbursement for the school side of the switches. They obviously will not reimburse us for town side. That gives us the balance of 154,826. Next up, $95,300 for B3 is the F800 Truck 73 replaced with a Ford F550 flatbed, $95,300. No discussion on the next one. B4 high school.
Excuse me, Ryan, just a minute. Do you know, Steve, if we have any vehicle reserve money available for some of these?
the vehicle reserves in the enterprise with the,
Just in the enterprise, okay,
and sewer only has about $3,000 left. Water has more. I think it has about 210,000 in water, but
Okay.
sewer has only $3,000 left.
okay.
One more question for Steve. I know since we've approved a few things out of free cash lately, do you know approximately what the current balance is then now?
I believe we're around 4.4.
Okay,
Off the top of my head, maybe between 4 and 4.4 million.
okay. No, that's good enough of an answer. Thank you.
All right, next project, the high school replaced skylights and domes, 22,345. It's our priority B4. All right, hearing no discussion. Priority B5, 1-ton dump truck, number 67 F550, replaced with a Ford F550 dump body, 90,686. Hearing nothing, we'll move on to the next one. Priority B6, backhoe number 17, replaced with a John Deere 410L for $179,550. Hearing no discussion, we'll move on to the next one. B7, Maple Shade parking lot and playground paving with added drainage, 142,674. Hearing no discussion, moving on to the next one. Police department unmarked cruiser replacement or additional, 35,337, priority B8. No discussion. Priority C1, police department new 60 kilowatt generator for 37,657. All right. Moving on, priority C2. Project is building automation upgrades for the IT department for $105,000, $105 and $10. No discussion. Moving on to town hall trailer mounted generator, 150 kilowatts for $104,153. Priority is C3. Hearing nothing, we'll move on to the next one. Is maple shade replacement of flat roof sections for $964,810. Priority C4. Right, next C5, car one replacement for $59,770. And the fire department, nothing. All right. Priority C6, fire department new sprinkler system piping, $192,488. Hearing nothing. Priority C7, Meadowbrook full parking lot renovation for $1.9 million. Hearing nothing else. We have 3 Ds, the Burton roof, the public safety complex feasibility study, the pickup truck. Anybody have any input on those 3 or leave them where they are?
We don't have any E categories, right?
Not yet. We also have the Heritage Park Design Engineering Permitting and Bid Documents for $495,075 as an A to not be general funded.
So Ryan, did we hit the ambulance that we've been paying on? That's out of the ambulance fund, right?
Yep.
That's a separate, okay, that's an enterprise fund. Perfect.
Yeah. The Ambulance Enterprise Fund is the least 2 out of 3 for $136,312, and then the 25% of engine 2 is the $47,000.
Yeah, and we don't prioritize the enterprise funds or anything, right?
No, just recommend or not recommend.
Okay.
All right, that concludes our capital project prioritization. I will send out this updated list to everybody. Does anyone have any old business?
Oh, Ryan, should we formally vote on this prioritized list?
That's a good point, Rich. I will entertain a motion to approve recommendation of our FY23 capital plan as presented.
So moved.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Do I hear any further discussion?
So is this, what we're voting on is that we're going to put this forwards to the council as is, A, B, C, and D? Or are we going to go back through and say, hey, all A's and B's, or are we going to let the council decide?
We're going to give this to so we're a town manager subcommittee, so this will go to the town manager who can draw the line where they want to on this list.
Okay.
And where they recommend.
Okay, I'm good with it.
I'd be including your recommendations in the capital plan that we submit as part of the draft budget and ultimately the final budget. So it won't go directly to the council, but ultimately it'll get there.
Because I wouldn't be in favor of basically funding the Ds at all. And like I said, I mean, looking at it, I don't even think we would normally get down to the Cs. You know, maybe the A's and B's definitely a full funding. And then depending on what we end up with getting from the state and all, then you look forwards, but.
Right, and that's part of my
Exactly.
concern now, because, I mean, I don't know, as I sit here, whether we have to approve all these things if we determine that we're gonna pay cash for them or pay them from some other funding source. I mean, obviously they're capital with a couple of what I think are a couple of minor exceptions, but I need to think that through a little bit more with Steve's help and figure out exactly, and with the financial oversight and maybe Mike Kane's input as to whether or not we want to vote to approve all of these for capital spending, if in fact we have other funding sources that we know we can use to take some of them off the list right off the top. I just don't know the answer to that yet.
Right. And that's what I was saying. I mean, I would be okay with approving the listing that we have and all. But as far as approving the whole thing to be financed, I'm not good with that. The categorization, I have no problems with.
Ryan, do you want to make the motion be that we're referring this to Mary for review and include adjustment, inclusion, whatever, into the draft budget?
I forgot what I made for a motion or entertained for a motion already, but we can, if Rich wants to withdraw the motion, we can start.
I withdraw the motion.
Thank you. So what are you thinking, Steve?
No, I forgot. No,
Right.
this is I think we should refer, this is our recommendation to the town manager for consideration for the capital expenditures in the FY23 budget. Dependent upon financing, however we want to play
That's
that.
right.
Was
I
that a
heard you,
motion?
Counselor Page.
Yep.
Was that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that as a motion.
Can you repeat it?
Oh, man. I'm gonna record this. No, I make the motion that we send this list based on categories to the town manager's office as our recommendation for the capital priorities for the FY23 budget. How's that?
Sounds good. Do I hear a
Second.
second?
I'll second.
Don't make me repeat it.
Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, I'll start on the top of my screen. Steve,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes,
and I am a yes. I will get this over to you, Mary. Is there any other old business?
did we sending us this list also, Ryan?
Oh, of course, yeah, I'll send it to everybody.
Okay,
Is there any new business? Hearing no old business and new business. I want to thank everybody for another fun capital planning season. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I
So
move to adjourn.
I want to thank you all too. I know it's time consuming and your thoughtful consideration of all these projects is much appreciated.
and Ryan, I want to thank you. Very well organized process all the way through.
Thank
I'll
you.
second the motion.
agreed, yes. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to
I'll make
adjourn.
that one.
I think we just need the vote.
Yeah, Connor made the motion. I seconded. Time to vote.
All right, Rich. I'm a yes. We're Steve,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
and Jim.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hi,
See you
everyone.
tomorrow, Jim.